You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Well, I think we already know that. We have established it so many times before that it has been one of those things that I think we already know. So anyways, how are you on this lovely March the 19th, which is a Thursday of 2026. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
We are radio. We are sarcasm. We are both combined. Radio Big.
I don't know if I really feel like we're sarcastic, are we? I mean, I thought we were kind of direct. I mean, sarcastic, really? Out of all things that we can be, that's what we're going to go with. Anyways, you know how it goes. So let's start talking right away about some things. Thank you for coming back if you've been here before, hanging out with us and the stuff that we do. Our show consists of safety in the news and safety. That's just kind of how we go about doing everything. This is hour uno of our 3-hour show. Now, the first hour is the one that we do on video. We do it on a podcast, and then it is a radio show. So let's explain that. So that's the first hour. So that's the only one that we kind of do in the smush version. Hour 2 and 3 are entertainment, news, and, you know, that kind of stuff. And music. We do that on radiobig.fm if you want to hang out and do the stuff. So that's kind of how it goes. We just do that kind of stuff, and then we do a main story towards the middle of the show. We bring in some professional broadcasters. They talk about what the hell's going on. And we just run with it. Run with it. That's it. If you want to interact with the show during the time that it's actually going on, you can actually go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. Once you get there, immediately it's going to give you 3 options. It's going to say you can do a video call, you can do an audio call, or you can just do a text. So there you go. Some opciones for you as we are going. So a lot of stuff going on inside of the world of the multiverse. So somebody was telling me recently that I have this problem that I don't tend to mention the stuff that we have coming up towards the beginning of the show. So I'm going to do that today. I'm going to talk about this just briefly. On March the 31st through April the 1st, we will be hanging out in Santa Fe, New Mexico, doing the Conklin Workshop. Redonda Voigt will be there. Brett Sutton and Ann Learin, of course, will be hosted by Todd Conklin. And we'll be looking at incident investigations that are going on. How to handle it, looking at it through the lens of HOP. Using some tools that were created by Brett and Sutton. And the actual story will come from Redonda Voigt, and Ann Learin will be heading out the whole thing in regards of, hosting, doing that kind of stuff. So there you go. That's happening in Santa Fe, New Mexico, March 31st through April the 1st. If you scan the QR code, that will take you directly to our site, safetyfm.com. And then it's essentially is taking you to the live event section. So just in case if you don't scan the QR code. Anyways, with that being said, that's one. We'll talk about the second one later on. So don't worry about that. We got something else coming up, or that we've already been talking about. So with that being said, I do have my friends from Feature Story News that are ready to go. They want to talk to you about what the hell's going on inside of the world of the news. So if you're good with it, I'm good with it. And let's move forward in getting you to the news.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News, I'm Rebecca Bunton in Mumbai. President Donald Trump says the US will massively blow up a major Iranian gas field if it attacks Qatar again. In a post on social media, Trump said the US knew nothing of Israel's strike on a gas field in Iran, with Iran retaliating with a strike on an area in Qatar containing the world's biggest LNG processing facility. The White House has temporarily rolled back a law that prohibits foreign vessels from shipping oil and gas between US ports as the ongoing war with Iran has spiked energy prices across the country. Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
President Trump is trying to combat spiralling oil prices with a 60-day suspension of the Jones Act to increase the pool of ships that can move the fuels across the US. But analysts say the move is largely symbolic and will ease gas prices by only a couple of pennies at most. A gallon of regular unleaded gas already averages $3.84 nationally, according to motoring organisation AAA. That's an increase of 32% from a month ago, before President Donald Trump launched strikes on Iran alongside Israel. US Vice President J.D. Vance assured Americans it would not last forever.
The president said this, and I certainly agree with it. This is a temporary blip.
Meanwhile, Tehran is warning of imminent retaliation against the energy infrastructure of the US's allies in the Persian Gulf after its own giant South Pars gas field was struck.
Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says he's not stepping down until his successor is confirmed and a probe into his handling of renovations at the Fed's headquarters is resolved. His announcement came during a press conference following the central bank's two-day policy meeting, in which they left interest rates unchanged as they assessed the impact of the war in Iran. Tony Waterman reports.
Powell's term is meant to end on May 15th, but he says he'll stay on as chairman pro tem until a successor is confirmed. President Trump has nominated Kevin Warsh, but lawmakers, including Republicans, have threatened to block his confirmation until the probe into Powell is dropped. Even if Warsh is confirmed, Powell says he won't leave until the investigation is resolved, and he could stay on as a Federal Reserve governor until 2028, denying President Trump the opportunity to nominate someone more willing to aggressively cut interest rates.
China's benchmark stock indices joined a sell-off in Asian markets on Thursday morning after Iranian strikes on key energy infrastructure in the Gulf pushed oil above $110 a barrel. Laura Westbrook reports from Hong Kong.
Asian stocks sank in early trading on Thursday after oil prices jumped past the $110 a barrel mark following Iran's striking of energy infrastructure around the Gulf in what it said was a new stage of war. The benchmark stock indices for Japan and South Korea also sank.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking in more detail again today at the role AI has been playing in the war on Iran. While an official Pentagon investigation continues, even some top Republican lawmakers in Washington have already apologized over a Tomahawk missile strike on the very first day of the US and Israeli war that destroyed a girls' school in Iran, killing at least 165 people, most of them children. The school was situated on terrain that had previously been part of an Iranian military base, and the strike, which some already claim constituted an American war crime, fueled questions about whether AI may have been involved in selecting the target. We don't know whether that was the case, but Jacob Judah, a journalist specializing in security and technology at the Financial Times, says artificial intelligence is already playing a major role in helping military leaders identify possible targets.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's like AI in everyone's life, right? It's just that this time it is determining whether people live or not. AI is only as good as the kind of data that you give it, right? So if at some point someone has compiled a map of Iranian military targets, for example, that suggests that this building or whatever it is, a military target, AI kind of may act on that intelligence and suggest a strike target that includes places which shouldn't be being hit.
Tomorrow, wrapping our week of special coverage, old school tech and the role it's playing in the conflict. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. President Trump says the US will massively blow up a major Iranian gas field if it attacks Qatar again. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says he's not stepping down until his successor is confirmed. This came as the central bank left interest rates unchanged. China's benchmark stock indices joined a sell-off in Asian markets on Thursday morning after Iranian strikes on key energy infrastructure in the Gulf pushed oil above $110 a barrel. And that is the latest feature story news. Rebecca Bunden reporting.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly. Less than $2 a month and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
You ever hit the wall, burnout, stressed, or just feeling that everything is piling up and thought, yeah, I probably need to talk to someone? The problem is finding the therapist who actually takes your insurance feels impossible at times. That's where Rula comes in. Rula is a healthcare company that makes mental health care easy to access and actually affordable. They partner with over 100 insurance plans, so the average copay is about $15 a session, sometimes even less. With Rula, you get matched with the right therapist for you, not just whoever's available. Their network has over 15,000 licensed professionals, and you can book an appointment as soon as tomorrow. No wait list, no frustrations, just therapy that works with your schedule and your insurance. Thousands of people are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that actually covered by insurance. Visit Rula.com/safetyfm to get started. After you sign up, you'll be asked how you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know that we sent you there. That's RULA.com/safetyfm. You deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget. Go to Rula.com/safetyfm right now to get started. That's RULA.com/safetyfm because you deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget.
Just a friendly reminder that today is the last day of winter. Allergy season, here we come, here we come.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, here we are doing some risky business is definitely what it sounds like. So let's get moving and grooving right away because we have a plethora of things to discuss today because that's just kind of how it goes. So, should we talk about this? I don't think I have a way of showing you the video anymore, but that's okay. We'll talk about something else. So, do we want to start off really odd today? Yeah, let's start off odd because I think it's interesting. Astrologer Jessica Adams is sounding the alarm in the 2026, saying that the world map is going to get shaken a little, snow globe, and not gently. She claims that the border will be redrawn very suddenly, pointing straight to the ongoing conflicts in Ukraine. The Gaza Strip. Her timeline says summer of 2026 with changes kicking off around June, and she sees that it won't be a one and done situation. According to her, the maps keeps shifting. No, seriously, this is a not political theater, shifting all the way through 2030. And now in her credit, she says previously predicted Donald Trump winning in 2016 in the COVID pandemic. So she's leaning hard into her resume, but there's a reality check. The situation that she's pointing to already front and center, Russia led by Vladimir Putin, is still pushing territory demands in Ukraine. The Israel-Gaza conflict remains volatile. And even after the shaky ceasefire, in other words, saying that the border might change right now is like predicting that you might get wet during a hurricane. Her bigger claim, the old world map is basically outdated, and what replaces it could come fast, hit hard, and keep evolving for years. So, what do you think? No, seriously, this is a prediction stuff that's making it onto some of the main. Like, there was a prediction last night that Trump would step away from politics. We'll talk about that one. I had to look it up to see if I can find it again, but I was looking at it last night going, what? And it was like on all the major networks yesterday evening. Anyways, let's talk about this because I think we need to get
serious for a moment.
Capitol Hill got a little tense and a little awkward during the Senate hearing. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, raised eyebrows when she didn't say something specifically. A pretty big line from her own prepared remark. It was the written version. In the written version, she claimed that Iran's nuclear program had been obliterated in following the U.S. military operation. But when it came time to speak, that part, gone. Skipped like a bad song on a playlist. And that caught the attention of Senator Mark Warner, who flat out asked why she left out this key statement, especially one line that up with Donald Trump's in his administration, where they've been saying about wiping out Iran's nuclear capabilities. Gabbard answered time was running long. Warner response basically convenient. All of this happening while there was already tension inside of the administration, and a counterterrorism official, Joe Kent, just resigned, stripped the pot by claiming the president was misled into striking Iran, fueling more questions than about the internal disagreement. Take a listen to this.
Even in your printed testimony today on page 6, and your last paragraph on page 6, as a result of Operation Midnight Hammer, Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated. There's been no efforts to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. You omitted that paragraph from your oral opening. Was that because the president had said there was an imminent threat 2 weeks?
No, sir. I recognize that the time was running long, and I skipped through some of the portions.
So you chose to take
my oral delivered remarks.
You chose
sir.
to omit the parts that contradict the president.
No, what an interesting time. So, written statement has to be turned in before you start talking, and then if you took something out, then the question becomes, why did you take part of it out? It's an interesting thing. I mean, it is definitely interesting, the aspect of what was left out, but I don't know anything. I mean, who knows? Do you know how often their speech is prepared where things get dropped out at the last moment? I'm just saying, and I'm not justifying anything here. We're just having the combo. Okay. So how do you enjoy the mail service, the United States Postal Service? I just have a question for you in regards to that. So take a listen to this. The United States Postal Service is basically waving a red flag, or, waving it, letting you know that something's going down. Maybe in our world, DJ horn. Let's see. So it's basically waving the red flag. Fix things now or we're out of money within a year. Postmaster General David Steiner told Congress the agency is bleeding cash thanks largely to the massive drop in mail volume. At its peak, USPS handled about 213 billion pieces of mail, now around 109 billion. That's revenue hit roughly 81 billion over time. His proposed fixes raised the price of the first-class stamp from 78 cents to 95 cents, give the USPS more authority to borrow money. Steiner argues that even at 95 cents, the U.S. postage would still be cheaper than places like France and the UK, while covering the ground. Think Puerto Rico to Alaska. Not everyone's on board. Lawmakers, including Rep. Pete Sessions, I can't even speak, push back on the raising prices, saying that tough decisions need to be made without just passing the cost on to the consumers. Hold on. Tough decisions need to be made without passing the cost on to the consumers. Now let's think about this for a moment. Let's not lie. When prices rise, better saying, and you own a company or you are in business, do you eat the cost or do you pass it on to the consumer? majority of companies will pass it on directly to the consumer. It's just how it goes. That is what business is. So look at it from any aspect as you want. Most people might not agree with it or like this or hearing this, but let's talk about it. If you raise the prices and the business is the middle person that's selling it to you, they're going to raise the prices to the consumer. It is just how this works. And I'm not justifying it. I'm just telling you how these things happen. So I don't know why they would say, nope, can't pass it on to the consumer. Weird stuff. Weird stuff. So let's talk about this because it's been a hot minute. At least it feels like.
Since we talked about it.
Chris Nanos is now facing recall push after it came out that he told investigators under oath that he'd never been suspended. Problem is, records showed that he was suspended multiple times early in his career with El Paso Police Department. We're talking 8 suspensions and about a month total off the job for issues like excess force and other misconduct. He also had to correct his resume about when he left the department. That lit a fire under the critics, including local officials and congressional candidates who now are gathering signatures to try to boot him from office. Even members of his own party are saying, yeah, we should probably look into it. Meanwhile, this is happening in a vacuum. Nanos is the sheriff in charge of the ongoing search for Nancy Guthrie's, the 84-year-old mother of Savannah Guthrie, who vanished in late January and is believed to have been abducted. The case is still active with investigators working through the evidence and the video. So there you go. 8 suspensions. Okay, I was going to sit here and go, well, you could get suspended and not remember. But 8, that's a little tough. I can maybe get 1. Maybe 2. I can live with that. I mean, I can live with 8 too, but I mean, you call off and saying I've never been suspended and it's been 8 times. That's a rough one.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, let's stay in the political world.
Because we're very political around here.
Donald Trump is floating the idea of pulling the U.S. out of NATO after allies balked at joining U.S.-led effort to secure the Strait during the ongoing conflict with Iran. That didn't sit too well with Don Bacon, a Republican and former Air Force general who flat out warned that ditching NATO would trigger a civil war inside of the GOP. Bacon and others argue that the alliance are the backbone of the U.S. strength, especially when dealing with the countries like Russia and China. He also made it clear that he believes that the president can't just yank the U.S. out of NATO without Congress stepping in. Meanwhile, the bigger picture tensions are rising in the Middle East. Oil routes like the ones for the Strait are under threat, and the U.S. allies are hesitant to jump into another high-stakes security mission. Some, like the U.K., are cautiously exploring options, but nobody's rushing in, so there you go. Some stuff to talk about there. Also, in some other news, Joe Kent, who has just resigned from his role under Donald Trump, is accusing Israel of feeding the U.S. bad intelligence ahead of the war with Iran and says that the whole thing never should have happened. Kent claims that Iran posed no imminent threat and argues that the president should have stayed at the negotiation table instead of going to war. He says that dissenting voices inside of the administration were basically shut out, calling the decision a foregone conclusion. He also took aim at Benjamin Netanyahu, who's suggesting Israelis' influence pushed the U.S. into action and warned that removing Iran's current leadership could actually make things worse by bringing in someone more extreme. Kent's bigger point, the U.S. should call the shots, not get pulled into the conflict driven by allies. He even floated the idea that Washington should have told to go to Israel alone if it wanted to fight. The response from Trump, not exactly warm. He dismissed Kent as a very weak on security and said that the good thing that he's gone. So there you go. There you go. I don't know. I just tell you what is reported. Good, bad, or indifferent. Seriously.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
So you are aware that we have a fellow country, or a neighboring country to the north of us. is Canada. This is shaping the cross-the-border economic chess match. So take a listen to this. With cheap EVs as a wild card, Canada is moving to open its market to low-cost Chinese electric vehicles from companies like BYD, Chery, and Geely. They could start hitting the roads as soon as this year. The big shift, Ottawa is ditching the massive 100% tariff on Chinese cars and replacing it with a cap of 49,000 vehicles and a much lighter 6.1% duty. Translating what used to be impossible is now very doable and very cheap. Why this matters south of the border, which would mean to the U.S., because the U.S. and Canada share similar auto standards. So now you've potentially got budget-friendly Chinese EV parked right next door to American consumers. That's got folks like Jim Farley waving a red flag, warning that kind of competition could be existential threat to the U.S. automakers. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is already in the middle of the global trade fight, slapping tariffs and launching investigations, and then threatening to rip up the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement if it doesn't bend his way. So there you go. What do you think about that one? No, seriously, because that gets interesting right away. Because if you start looking at this, BYD in particular, I can tell you, because I've heard of this manufacturer for quite some time, supposedly has some very interesting technology inside of their cars in regards to what they are able to do, and they are full electric. So they are full electric, and there are more charging spots that they have been involved with because of the amount of vehicles that they have out there. So it'd be interesting to see what would happen from that particular standpoint. So there you go. Matter of fact, what did I see? I was in Mexico, and one of the first signs that I saw coming out of the plane and into the airport, it was that exactly. It was a BYD. It was actually in the suitcase section. It was talking about those vehicles, and I had already been to other places where they've been talking quite a bit about it. So I don't know. Technology will be interesting to see how these things have impact just because of tariffs themselves. So there you go. Okay, so when gas prices spike, even a 100-year-old rule can get benched. Donald Trump just approved a 60-day waiver of the Jones Act, temporarily allowing foreign ships to move fuel and energy supplies between U.S. ports. Normally, that's strictly an American-only club, U.S.-built, U.S.-owned, U.S.-flagged vessels only. Why the sudden flexibility? Well, the war with Iran has choked off the strait and the critical oil artery. So sending prices climbing fast. The administration is trying to keep energy moving, avoid supply bottleneck, and take some pressure off of the wallet and at the pump. The waiver covers everything from crude oil and gasoline to natural gas, coal, and fertilizer. Basically anything tied to keeping the lights on and the economy running. So there you go. It's gonna be interesting as we continue to move forward and start talking about this more and more and more in regards of the price of electricity and power at the pump, because that is just going to change everything as we are continuing to move forward. What do you think here in regards to that? So there you go. Some things to think about. So there you go. Okay, take a listen to this real quick before we get into our main story. A new study out of the University of Michigan tried to put the number of something that nobody really wants to talk about. How many Americans have seriously thought about shooting someone? The answer, a lot more than you think. About 19.3 million adults, roughly the size of New York City plus Los Angeles, have had those thoughts at some point. Now, I'm not mad at my neighbor, but thoughts seriously. Specific thoughts about shooting someone, even more than about 8.5 million people say they've thought in just that past year about it, and it doesn't always stop thinking. About 4 million have considered getting a gun for that purpose, and around 1.5 million say that they've actually bought a gun somewhere intending to use it. Demographic pretty consistent with the crime data. More common among men and younger adults, higher in urban areas, and some racial and education differences show up as well. But here's the curveball. Gun ownership didn't correlate. Political parties didn't correlate. In other words, this isn't left-right issue. It's a human issue with a short fuse. 19 million people thinking about it. Suddenly, road rage makes more sense. And so when someone says, don't make me do something I'll regret, that's the category. And we've got more people thinking about shooting someone than people who show how to merge. And somehow the real crime is still people not using a turn signal. Good news, most people don't act on it. Bad news, they thought about it during traffic. So some things to think about. It can get serious quick out there as we are talking. Anyways, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and do this and get into our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so some main story time as we are hanging out doing our thing. No doubt about that as we are going through most of the thing. So there you go. So I want you to think about this or picture it that the most sacred thing, that highly worshipped object in your entire facility. It's not that multi-million-dollar CNC machine. I'm talking about I'm not talking about the server rack that holds the company intellectual property, and I'm certainly not talking about the employees. You want to know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about the lovely clipboard. Yes, I did say clipboard. You know exactly the one I mean. The clipboard that holds job safety analysis, the JSA. It holds the hot work permit. It holds the confined space entry log every single morning all across the corporate multiverse. Million of blue-collar workers stand in a circle during a 6 a.m. tailgate meeting, half awake, sipping on terrible coffee out of a styrofoam cup, and they participate in the grand set piece of the bureaucratic theater that was ever invented. The supervisor reads a generic list of hazards off the pre-printed sheets of paper. Slip, trips, and falls. Pinch point, wear your PPE. Then the clipboard is passed around in the circle, and every single guy with the blue ballpoint pen scribbles his signature on the bottom line. And there it is, the exact moment the corporate executive sitting in the high-rise office 3 states away breathe a massive sigh of relief because their minds, a magical interpersonal form has been erected around the job site. Yeah, there you go. That force field, the force field that does everything. It just happens. Let's not lie here. You are aware that these things happen out there. So corporate America suffers from a massive fatal delusion. They genuinely believe that paperwork stops physics. We have created the entire culture built around what I call paper Kevlar. We tell our workers that in just check the right boxes, if they just sign the JSA, if they just follow the sterile 40-page administrative procedure written by a lawyer who has never worn a pair of boots to be on the floor in his life, they will be safe. But I'm going to tell you the most unapologetic, brutal truth about the blue line. Physics is a sociopath. Physics cannot read English. Gravity does not give a damn about your signed permit. 480 volts of electricity does not care if you watch the 15-minute safety video on a dusty TV in the break room. Kinetic energy does not negotiate with human resources. And let's talk about how the delusion actually kills people. Let's talk about the guy named, let's call him Tommy. Tommy works on the underground utility contractor. It's Tuesday in August. It's 98 degrees outside. The humidity is suffocating, and the crew already has 3 days behind the schedule on the municipal sewer tie-in. The job requires Tommy to go down the trench. That's about 9 feet deep. The soil is type C, and it's loose, sandy, previously disturbed dirt. The OSHA standards and the corporate manual and the laws of physics dictated that the trench is deep in the kind of soil that needs a trench box, and it needs physical shoring.
Duh.
But the trench box is currently sitting in a staging yard 45 minutes away. The operation manager is screaming through the radio that they need to lay on the pipe before the city inspector leaves at 3 p.m. So what does the crew do? They lean on the paper Kevlar. The foreman pulls the daily excavation permit. He checks the box, the soil inspected. He checks the box and says, hazard mitigated. He passes the clipboard to Tommy. Tommy signs his name on the bottom line. The paperwork is absolutely flawless. flawless victory. If the auditor looked at the piece of paper, they would give the site a gold star. The foreman tosses the perfectly completed permit onto the dashboard of his F-150, where he sits, flapping in the AC breeze. Tommy jumps down the 9-foot hole. For about 20 minutes, everything is fine. But then the sociopath known as physics decides to wake up. The vibration nearby the excavator disrupts the coercive friction of the trench wall. And in a fraction of a second, because that's all it takes, the walls give in. Now, I want you to understand the reality of the soil. Dirt is not light. A single cube yard of soil weighs roughly, you ready for this? 3,000 pounds. That's the weight of a Honda Civic. So when the trench wall collapses, it doesn't just bury Tommy. It hits him with kinetic force of a car crash. 3,000 pounds of dirt slam into Tommy's chest, instantly compressing his ribcage where he cannot breathe. He is buried to his neck, the physical weight of the earth slowly, methodically strangling the life out of him. The panic in his eyes is absolute, and the crew above him is screaming, desperately digging with their hands, tearing their fingernails down as quickly as they can, using everything, trying to move the impossible amount of weight before Tommy's brain starves from oxygen. And while Tommy is suffocating to death in the bottom of the muddy hole where the permit is. Where's the permit? Where is the permit? It's sitting on the dashboard of the truck, perfectly filled out and completely useless. The paperwork did absolutely nothing to stop the dirt. The signature didn't reinforce the trench walls. They checked boxes, didn't give Tommy an extra millimeter of room to expand his lungs. When the paramedics arrived and pronounced Tommy dead at the scene, I want you to look on how the corporate machine reacts. I want you to witness the true disgusting purpose of the paper Kevlar. When the phone rings in the C-suite and they hear that there has been a fatality, what is the very first questions the executive asks? Do they ask if Tommy had a family? Do they ask when was the trench box wasn't on site? No. The very first question the corporate lawyers ask, did he sign the JSA? I want you to think about that. Did he sign the JSA? When Foreman says, yes, the executives exhale. They are safe. The company is safe because paperwork was never designed to protect Tommy from the dirt. The paperwork was designed to protect the company from the liability. It is the ultimate scam of the safety profession. We have spent the last 30 years replacing physical engineering controls with administrative paperwork, and we have brainwashed ourselves into believing that compliance is the exact same thing as safety. It is not.
It is not.
It is not. Compliance is just liability laundering. If you are a safety professional listening to this and you spend 90% of your day auditing permits, chasing signatures, and ensuring that the filing cabinets are full of perfectly executed JSAs, you are not a safety professional. You are corporate librarian. Yep, I know that's going to piss some people off. And you are managing companies' legal defense fund, not the physical survival of the workers. You cannot manage safety from a spreadsheet. You cannot protect human life with a ballpoint pen. Seriously.
Duh.
If you want to stop people from dying, you have to fight physics with physics. If there is a hazard, you don't write a memo about it. You build a physical barrier. You install a physical interlock. You drop 5,000-pound trench box into the hole. So, as we start to bring the main story to the end here and wrap up the segment, I want you to know, and I want you to think about this when you walk on the floor today. Look at the hazards through a completely different lens. I want you to take all the paperwork, all the permits, all the daily logs, and mentally light them on fire. No, seriously, light them on fire in your head and strip it all away. Now, look at the actual physical reality of the operation. Without the paper, what is actually stopping a machine from crushing an arm without the paper? What is actually keeping the worker from falling 40 feet off the roof? If there's only a thing that's standing between the people and the body bag is a signature on a clipboard, you have already failed. I want you to think about that. You have already failed. Physics is coming for them, and it doesn't give a damn about your paperwork. Tear up the paper Kevlar and start building the real damn thing.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Here we go. We are still hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show. This right here you're taking a listen to, this is Soft Eyes. This is by Forrest Taylor. Songs readily available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and Pandora. We would like to thank Fred Taylor for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. Always a good time when we get to hang out and do some new musica. No doubt about that. So there you go. Thank you for allowing us to play this one. Anyways, let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Our Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help, and we want you to know that people have been where you are now and that healing is possible. To get more information, all you have to do is to go to twloha.com and click on the section that says Find Help. That's twloha.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, you're going to see stuff related to addiction, depression, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support, just to name a few. That's twloha.com and click on the section that says Find Help. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there. Okay, so let's talk about some things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse. And let me tell you about this event that we have coming up. July the 13th, which is a Monday, going down in Orlando, Florida. So that gives you some time to prep and think about it and to do your thing. On Monday, July the 13th, we're going to have an observational symposium taking place here in Orlando at a movie theater. Yeah, we're going to hang out and talk about some things related to behavior-based safety, human and organizational performance, and, of course, what I call signal. So we'll be talking about that during that event. Nick Weatherly will be talking about behavior-based safety. Todd Conklin will have the discussion of human and organizational performance, and I will be there talking about signal. So would love to see you there. There's a QR code right there on the screen. All you have to do is scan it. Once you scan it, it will take you to the website to let you know more information about the event. So we'll have all three of those speakers. And then, of course, on top of that, we'll watch a little documentary/movie for us to hang out and do some things there. So would love to see you there, hang out, do some stuff, have some fun together. No doubt about that. All you have to do is go to the website, click on the section, and we will get you moving and grooving. So there you go. Just go to the section that says live events. It's the easiest way to get everything moving and grooving for you as we are going through. So that's what we have going on. So 2 events, one coming up here at the end of the month, March 31st, April the 1st, Santa Fe, New Mexico, and then the one in July going on here in Orlando. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on as we are going through it. So there you go. Anyways, with that being said, I do have John Small waiting here in the wing, wanting to talk about what the hell's going on with the Motivation Minute. I will tell you, I am always amazed with the stuff that this man comes up with in regards to talking about what is going on inside of the world of the multiverse. So with that being said, let's go ahead and bring some John Small into our life and let him tell us about what's going on there.
Courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Stephen. Stuart Brand said, "Once a new technology rolls over you, if you're not part of the steamroller, you're part of the road." Wow, what a visual. I feel this way about AI. I know a dozen people who've completely submerged themselves in AI tools that help them in many ways. As I'm writing this, I'm listening to music that's designed to help me focus. It was created by AI. Does it work? I'm not sure. I just tried the 7-day trial, but it seems weird to my ears, so I'm probably not going to make the full week. But I also don't want to be the guy selling buggy whips while everybody has a horseless carriage. And I'm also not a fan of being the first to try a brand new unknown thing. My risk level is a little lower than that. I've dabbled with a few things that AI could do for me, but I feel like I'm using a smartphone as a calculator. Yeah, it does that, but you know what? It does other stuff too. The Motivation Minute. This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
Iran launched deadly missile strikes on Tel Aviv Wednesday, firing cluster munitions that lit up skies over central Israel and caused widespread alarm.
Eyewitnesses saw explosions rock the city as air raid sirens wailed through the night. Israel's defenses intercepted many projectiles, but some hit urban areas. Officials urge calm while assessing damage from this bold escalation, Gary Beck reporting.
Russia hammered Ukraine with over 440 drones and missiles on Wednesday, pounding energy sites and leaving millions in the cold.
President Zelensky called it the largest barrage yet, as fires raged across key regions. Ukrainian forces downed scores of threats, but blackouts spread fast. Officials scramble to restore power amid the Kremlin's relentless push. Benjamin Wright reporting.
Powerful U.S. bombs slammed Iranian missile sites near the Strait of Hormuz on Wednesday, using deep penetrators to cripple Tehran's arsenal.
The strikes came after Iran's top security chief died in a blast as retaliation vows echo loud. Oil routes hang in balance with tankers now dodging the hot zone. Global markets watch close for price shocks from this fiery clash. Lawrence Keller reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
Top U.S. intelligence chiefs faced questions on the Iran war and threats hitting home soil.
Lawmakers press for details on homeland risks from overseas fury. FBI's role in stopping plots draws sharp scrutiny, too. The session had tense exchanges on defense amid rising stakes. Kyle Norris reporting.
One person died and another hurt in a shooting at a New Mexico Air Force base on Wednesday, prompting a swift lockdown.
Military police chased leads as base teams aided the wounded fast. No word yet on the shooter's motive or link to bigger plots. Investigators comb the scene for clues in this shocking attack. Liam White reporting.
Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton clinched the Democratic primary for an open U.S. Senate seat on Wednesday, eyeing history as the 6th black woman senator.
Her win marks a big upset in the crowded race for Dick Durbin's old spot. Backers cheer her rise amid fierce party fights. She now gears up for the general matchup with strong momentum. Shelley White reporting.
Trump blasted NATO allies after they rebuffed his plea to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz blocked by Iran.
The row highlights strains in the alliance over crisis aid demands. European leaders cite limits on their role in the hot zone. Talks stall as energy woes grip the world tight. Jessica Oakley reporting.
Federal agents seized millions in counterfeit pills and arrested several people in a large drug bust that stretched across multiple states Wednesday.
Authorities say the fake tablets were made to look like common pain and anxiety drugs. Lab tests showed many pills laced with fentanyl and other potent chemicals. Kevin Sanders reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, so let's start talking about some things that happened back on this date, because that seems like a thing to do at the moment. So back in 1831, first U.S. bank robbery, Citibank, New York, for $245,000. That was 1831. Think about that for a moment. Also, back in 1915, Pluto photographed for the first time, although it's unknown at the time, so there you go. Also, 1945, Adolf Hitler issues Nero decree, destruction of German facilities, so there you go. What else do we got? Let's see. In 1969, Chicago ate and died in the aftermath of Chicago Democratic Convention. Also, let's see what else. In 2020, of California state of California with 910 cases of COVID-19 locks down the orders for people to stay at home. That all happened on this date, back on the years that I told you that it was. So there you go. Let's talk about some birthdays that are going on today. Let's see. 1946 is a celebrity birthday, just in case. Ruth Pointer turns 80. Glenn Close, she turned 79 today. So there you go. And also Bruce Willis, he turned 71. So there are some things for you. Let's talk about some things that you ought to know. Diesel just kicked the door in and bringing inflation with it. According to AAA, diesel just jumped to $5.07 a gallon, up from $3.65 just last month. That's a 39% spike. Yeah, that's the kind of that makes truckers stare into the distance like they are in a country song. Regular gas sitting at $3.80. Annoying, sure, but the diesel is the one doing the real damage behind the scenes because it fuels the trucks that move basically everything you buy. The reason the conflict with Iran has squeezed the global supply, especially in the Strait, that's clogged up. That's one of the biggest oil highways, and right now it's looking more like a parking lot. Gas Buddy analyst Patrick DeHaan says that it's only second time that diesel has ever cracked $5, and the last time it was after the Russian invasion of Ukraine back in 2022. So there you go. What else do we have for you? Let's see. Things just escalated in a big way across the Middle East. Missile strikes reportedly hit energy sites in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, with explosions seen near the Ras Laffan. Let's see. The world's largest natural gas facility in the capital of Riyadh. This came just hours after Iran warned that it would launch what it called full-scale economic war, especially targeting energy infrastructure across the region. Facilities in the United Arabs, or UAE, better saying, Qatar and Saudi Arabia were evacuated ahead of the strikes. This wasn't subtle either. Tehran essentially said that its sites were now legitimate targets and then followed through. Markets reacted instantly. Brent Crude jumped about 5%, climbing past $109 a barrel because the energy hubs start exploding and the global economy feels fast. So there you go. Let me give you another one here, if you don't mind. The Federal Reserve hit a pause again in the latest meeting. The Fed decided to leave the interest rates unchanged, keeping it around 3.5 to 3.75% range, even with global tensions heating up, including the ongoing conflict in Iran. The economy still moving along with a decent clip. Growth is steady. Unemployment hasn't shifted much, and inflation still hanging around like unwanted house guest. The Feds are sticking with the earlier outlook, too, signaling at least that one rate cut could still happen later this year, but they're clearly not in a rush to do that. So there you go. Anyways, that's going to sum up our time together at the top of the hour. I will be going over to radiobig.fm if you want to come and hang out with me for the next couple hours or so. We'll be talking about the world of music and entertainment on that side of the house. You're more than welcome to come in and hang out with us. If you don't want to go over there, that's perfectly fine. You can hang out here with the likes of Sheldon Primus, and he will be talking about the world of safety consulting. So there you go. If I can't leave you with some words of wisdom for today, let me do this. Persistence can change failure into extraordinary achievement. So there you go. And if I can give you some advice for today, it is easier to separate the yolk from the white of the egg if it's cold. Things you ought to know. There you go. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios, as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people. But somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.